Okay, so for this week's Unreal Engine game mechanics independent study, I have a few things going on. The first thing is I've added a character selection screen, essentially two buttons with text, and the button allows you to spawn the character. Um, and I've also added, once the AI detects you, he basically has a cycle going on where he continuously looks for you and updates at a pace that he can continue following you. Basically, it's very hard for him to lose track of you now. So it's kind of like almost like a tag game. So because yeah, I was able to almost lose him. Okay, and then and then the other thing I added is now my character can swing his sword while running, which is basically blending two different animations at the same time, based upon the keys that I'm pressing, um, which I'll show how that's done in a second. Okay, so for the beginning screen where you have the character selection, under blueprints, I have open level blueprint, and this is basically saying the game begins, create the blueprint widget for the class selection, add it to the viewport. Um, so we're going to take a quick look at that. So this is the class selection that was added to the viewport, and I basically have the two buttons with some text, and on each of these buttons I added on a on click event, and on the on click event I essentially have it saying spawn at this location, click on the click, spawn the character at this location. If that is valid, get the player's controller progress and remove the parent, meaning allow the player to move based upon your controls, and get rid of the parent widget target, which was the blueprint, open world blueprint that was adding the blueprint to the screen. And essentially both pieces of code are the same, for each button, except for which character that they're spawning. Okay, so that's that part. The AI character, we also had to add some code to get him to chase us. So essentially, we have the character, seeing, sensing, which he has, that radius where he can sense from, and uh, and we have him set to moving. So we have him set to moving, and basically we're telling him to keep moving every half a second, essentially. And then we also have, but yeah, basically don't stop moving. Pick somewhere, move it to there. So then we also have every 2 seconds select a new location within this radius. So this is basically telling the character within this loop of every half half seconds, if it's not already moving, to do this kind of thing. Sorry, I'm just a little tired. It's late. So basically, the movement is stopped only when you reach the character. So essentially, all this code is telling the AI to cycle into this continuous movement, and the parameters are run for 2 seconds, this distance, recalculate every half second if needed. So it creates a really smooth chasing ability. Okay, so for the sword character, we basically did two things. Under his blueprint, we removed the two sections where it's telling the sword character to stop moving immediately. Um, yeah, essentially that, because we want our sword character to continuously be moving when attacking now. So under the sword character's blueprint, we well, yeah, I added a layer blend bone, and that's essentially we have our state machine, and then we have the state for sword attack, and then we add it in here. So basically, when you're doing the sword attack, you're allowed to have the bones divided between these two animations within that state. So basically what you do here is you select the bone that you want to divide the animation between, meaning top half one animation, bottom half the other animation. And where is it? There it is. Yeah, so basically we're dividing between this, which is your, WAD keys, which is telling, running, walking, state machine, and the sword slash animation. Essentially, that's what's occurring. This here, knowing how to do this, may come very handy in my thesis project, as I'm using motion capture animation, and I actually may have to divide the head from the body, telling that motion capture data from one program goes to the head and from a different program goes to the body. That's if I don't pre-combine the two in Blender. I'm still trying to figure out the best method of doing that in Blender. So this is another method that I'll probably end up trying this week to make sure that it works for my thesis project. Anyway, so that's the updates this week for the game mechanics. I am realizing doing this game mechanics independent study is very helpful for me understanding techniques, tools, and virtual projection possibilities for 3D animation, which is possibly very beneficial for the thesis project. Some overlapping knowledge that I wouldn't have had the time to have learned. Yeah, like that bone blending thing, I probably would have only considered Blender for that if I wasn't doing this independent study, for example. Anyway, that's it for this week. Oh, yeah, so next week is spring break. I'm going to continue working and stuff, but because it's spring break, I may or may not give an update video during spring break. Everything that I learn, you will receive it in update videos, but it may be combined with other update videos, depending on how much content I get through and stuff like that. Anyway, that's it for this week.